Hey, deep divers. Ready for something kind of different? We're going deep into modern pageantry, but we're going way beyond what you see on the surface.
Oh, yeah. Definitely beyond the glitz and glam.
Right. You think you know pageants. Get ready to think again. I know I had to rethink a lot of what I thought I knew.
It's really interesting how much pageantry has changed, would
Yeah.
you say? I mean, we've gone from just focusing on looks to this whole world of talent and intelligence and making a difference. It's like pageantry itself has leveled up.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so before we get into all that amazing stuff, how about we start with the basics? What exactly is a pageant today?
That's a good question. It's definitely more than evening gowns and perfect smiles these days.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
At its heart, it's still a competition, like a multi-round event where they're showing off different skills each time. You still have the classic things like talent shows, evening wear, and of course the interviews.
You said multi-round event. It makes me think of it less like a beauty contest and more like the academic decathlon. But for personal development, I guess, it's got to be some strategy involved, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're not just judged on how they look in a swimsuit.
Yeah.
You know, it's about how smart they are, their poise, how well they communicate. And the interview, that's where they can really show off what they know and what they're passionate about. That's where the platform comes in, that social cause they're supporting.
Platforms. Let's talk about that because I think that's where things get really interesting. It's not just about winning. It's about actually making a difference.
Exactly. And choosing that platform, it's not something they take lightly. You know, contestants spend a lot of time, sometimes years, researching and figuring out which cause really speaks to them.
So it's got to be something they genuinely care about, not just something that sounds good.
Oh, for sure. And that realness,
Yeah.
it really comes through. You can tell when they talk about it, when they get involved with projects, when they keep working on it, even after the pageant's over.
So we've got beauty brains and a passion for making a difference. That's a pretty impressive combo.
Yeah.
But who are these modern pageants attracting? I feel like a lot of people still have that old school image in their heads.
You're right about that. The diversity is actually one of the most amazing things about modern pageantry. It really challenges those stereotypes. We're talking women of all ages, teens to, there are even Mrs. Pageants for married women.
Wait, hold on. There are pageants for married women. That's so cool. I had no idea. It really shows how much things have changed.
Yeah. And there are pageants for men and boys, too. It's not just for women anymore. And it goes even further. You have pageants for kids and teens, organizations like Miss Wheelchair America and LGBTQ plus pageants.
Wow, this is blowing my mind. It really seems like there's a place for everyone, no matter their age, gender background, anything. Makes you wonder what all these different people are getting out of it. Besides the crown, of course.
Right. It's definitely about more than just winning. One of the biggest things is the personal growth. It's incredible. Think about the confidence you get from nailing a speech or being interviewed and knowing you aced it. Those skills are useful anywhere.
That's true. Plus, I was reading about all these scholarship opportunities and the career paths that open up. It's not just modeling or acting. It could be leadership in all kinds of fields.
Exactly. And a lot of pageants give out serious money for education.
Yeah.
Did you know that Miss America contestants have won over $45 million in scholarships?
45 million. Seriously, that's amazing. Okay, you had me at scholarships.
And then there's the networking. You meet so many driven people who want to make a difference, people who could be mentors or collaborators. It's like a launch pad for all sorts of things.
It's the personal growth, the scholarships, the connections. It all adds up to something pretty incredible.
It really does. It's like pushing yourself beyond what you thought you could do, learning valuable skills, making friends, and finding your voice to speak up for what you believe in.
Okay, I think we need to pause here for a sec. We've covered a lot already, so just to recap. We've learned that modern pageantry is incredibly diverse. It's not just about looks. And there are some real tangible benefits, like scholarships and personal growth.
Great recap. That sets us up perfectly to go even deeper into what modern pageantry is really all about. We've talked about platforms and advocacy, but there's so much more to explore. That's where you see the real power of pageantry to change things.
You were saying how pageantry can really change things.
Right.
And I think that's the perfect way to jump into the next part of our deep dive. We've talked about platforms and how contestants use their voices for causes they believe in, but I'm curious about actual examples. What kind of impactful platforms are we seeing in modern pageantry?
Well, one that comes to mind right away is Miss Earth. It's not just about being aware of the environment. It's about taking action. Like, contestants are actually planting trees, cleaning up polluted areas, speaking out for sustainability. They're really getting involved.
That's amazing. It's one thing to talk about saving the planet, but it's another to actually be out there doing something about it. Are there other pageants that are that hands-on?
Definitely Miss International is a great example. It's all about understanding different cultures and promoting peace. So contestants might participate in cultural exchange programs, visit orphanages, work with organizations that are all about international cooperation.
So they're building connections between cultures and trying to create more understanding in the world. It sounds like these pageants are giving them a chance to not just talk about things, but to do something real. Do you have any stories from the source material about individual contestants and their platforms?
Oh, there are so many. One that really stuck with me was this contestant who chose to focus on mental health awareness. She dealt with anxiety and depression herself, and she used her platform to try and break the stigma around mental health. She shared her story, she organized workshops, she raised money for mental health organizations.
That's really powerful. It's like that saying, the personal is political. By talking about her own experiences, she was able to connect with people on a deeper level and really push for change.
Exactly. And speaking of sharing stories, that's what World Class Beauty Queens magazine is all about, right? They're doing such a great job of letting these contestants' voices be heard.
Right. It's not like those typical beauty magazines. They're not just showing pretty pictures. They're showing what's behind the glitz and glam.
Yeah.
They're focusing on the advocacy work, the community involvement, the personal growth.
It's like they're changing the whole idea of what a beauty queen is.
Yeah.
It's less about surface stuff and more about substance, about heart, about making a difference.
So it's not about rejecting beauty. It's about expanding what beauty means. It's about confidence and intelligence and how you carry yourself. It's about what's inside as much as what's outside.
Exactly. And that's reflected in how they're judged, too. Looks are still a part of it. But it's just one piece of the puzzle. The interview, their talent, their platform work, it all matters.
This makes me think about empowerment. You know, in the past, pageants got a lot of criticism for objectifying women and pushing unrealistic beauty standards. But it sounds like modern pageantry is flipping that script. It's
Right.
becoming a way for women to actually feel empowered.
I think you're right. It's about having control and making choices. These women are choosing to be in pageants, and they're using them to show off their talents, to fight for what they believe in, to connect with others who share their passions. They're deciding what empowerment means for them.
And they're doing it on this huge stage. Think about the impact they're having, not just on themselves, but on everyone watching. They're breaking down stereotypes, redefining beauty, showing that women can be beautiful and brilliant at the same time.
Right. And don't forget about the impact they're having on the causes they support. They're raising awareness, getting resources, making people pay attention. They're showing that a crown can be a powerful tool for good.
Okay, I'm totally convinced. This new vision of pageantry, it's amazing, but do you think it's just a trend? Or is it part of a bigger change happening in society?
That's a really interesting question. I think it's too soon to tell for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think people are becoming more aware of the need for diversity and inclusion everywhere.
And pageantry, with its history and its global reach, could be a major force for change. I'm really excited to see what happens next.
Me too. I think we're just seeing the beginning of what's possible. And the best part is, anyone can be part of this change.
You mean we don't have to be in a pageant to make a difference?
Not at all. We can all support causes we believe in. We can challenge stereotypes. We can celebrate the different kinds of beauty in the world.
That's a great point. It's not about literally wearing a crown. It's about having the right attitude, the right heart, and wanting to make things better.
Exactly. And that brings us to something for our listeners to think about. If pageantry is really becoming a force for good, what role can each of us play in making that happen? How can we embrace what makes us unique and use that to change the world?
Wow. That's a really powerful question to think about. It's not just about watching pageants. It's about realizing that we all have the potential to make a difference.
Exactly. We can all learn from these contestants who are pushing boundaries and speaking up for what they believe in. They're using their platform to make things better.
You know, looking back on what we've talked about, I realized I had a lot of misconceptions about pageantry. I thought it was all about superficial beauty and outdated traditions, but it's actually so much more dynamic and it's constantly evolving. It's about diversity and empowering people and making a real impact on society.
It's been a real eye-opener for me, too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so great about these deep dives.
Yeah.
We get to question what we think we know and explore different viewpoints. And sometimes we discover something totally unexpected.
Totally. And I have to say, I'm leaving this conversation feeling really inspired by the contestants, by organizations like World Class Beauty Queens magazine that are supporting them, and inspired by the idea that pageantry can be such a positive force in the world.
It's contagious, isn't it? That energy, that
Yeah.
passion, that desire to make a difference. It makes you want to get involved and do your part, no matter how big or small.
Definitely. So to wrap up this amazing deep dive into the world of modern pageantry, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. What we've learned today is that pageantry is more than just a competition. It's a reflection of how our values are changing, how we want to create a more inclusive and fair world, and how much we all want to make a positive
I
impact.
love that. And even though we won't all wear a crown or be on a stage, we can all embrace what modern pageantry stands for. The courage to be ourselves, the passion to stand up for what we believe in, and the commitment to making the world a better and more beautiful place.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey, Deep Divers. We hope you've gained some new insights, maybe challenged some old ideas, and maybe even found a new appreciation for the ever-changing world of pageantry. Until next time, keep exploring and keep shining bright.